Recorded, y'all, I just recorded all of that and the camera wasn't even on. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna try this one more time. All right, you guys, we're gonna try one more time. All right. Jen, y'all, I did it again. Recorded all of that and the camera was not freaking on. Okay, Jen, we're gonna try this one more time. Hey guys. Oh my God. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and to part 3 of my 6-part How to Sew series for beginners. I'm filming this right now in my sewing classroom where I teach in-person sewing classes. So whether you're one of my students watching this to reinforce what we learned in class, or you're following along at home on your own sewing journey, you're in the right place. My name is Jen, and this is Jen Restyle Fashion, where we upcycle, sew, thrift, and style our way to a wardrobe that really serves us so that we don't have to go to our closets and say, I don't have anything to wear, because we absolutely do. All right, you guys, let's get into today's video. In this series, we're going to walk through everything you need to know as a beginner. So if you are an experienced seamstress, this is not for you. Today's focus is all about understanding fabric, how to choose it, how to read it, and how to finish the edges beautifully, even if you don't own a serger. In lesson 1, we got into the basics, the tools, staying organized, and why pressing is your best friend. In lesson 2, we got comfortable with our sewing machines. We learned how to thread our bobbin. We learned how to sew straight lines, and we practiced reinforcement with the backstitch. And today, we are adding another layer, understanding fabrics so that you can confidently move forward with your first sewing project, which is going to be your very own tote bag. So let's start with types of fabrics. Most of what we use in beginning sewing is woven fabrics like cottons, canvas, and denim. These don't stretch much, and they're easier to work with than knits, which are stretchy and better for t-shirts and leggings. Would you make a pillowcase out of denim? No, unless, maybe you were making a denim duvet cover and you wanted to throw denim pillows, but you wouldn't sleep on a denim pillowcase, right? So what kind of fabric would you use for a pillowcase? Cotton, silk, silk or satin, because obviously for your hair, that's healthier. The cotton, maybe not so much for the hair, but for comfort, like an Egyptian cotton would be perfect for that. So which one of these fabrics is cotton? Which number? Yep, great. Which one of these fabrics is satin? Woven fabric has a direction, 3 directions actually. You've got the grain line, which is called the lengthwise grain, which runs parallel to the selvage, cross grain, which runs perpendicular to the selvage, and then the bias, which is diagonal on a 45-degree angle. And this is super stretchy. You want to place your pattern pieces in line with the grain line. This is super important, parallel to the selvage, to make sure that your finished item keeps its shape. What is nap? You guys have seen this on the patterns. So some fabrics have what's called a nap. That means it has a soft, raised texture. So think about corduroy, velvet. Nap reflects the light differently on all different ways. So you need to cut your pieces in the same direction. Otherwise, your project is going to look really crazy. Let's first talk about selvage. So selvage runs along the edge of the fabric in line with the grain line. This is super important. Now, not all selvages are created equal, but the selvage is where the fabric was attached to the loom. So all fabric is created on some kind of machine. And for the fabrics that we're using in this class, mostly woven, the threads of the fabric run right to left and right to left. But the fabric has to be attached to something. And that something is the selvage, which is then attached to the machine. And so we're going to look at selvage. I'm going to pop that up here on the screen. And this is an example of selvage on two different fabrics. We have the selvage on a heavyweight satin and on cotton. And as you can see, each one of them is different, but the selvage always runs in the direction of the grain line. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about interfacing. To give your tote bag structure, we will also use interfacing. This is a material that fuses to the back of your fabric. It makes the fabric stiff, more durable, and it helps it hold its shape. You can see here how this cotton piece of fabric looks with the interfacing. It's much sturdy. We're going to practice this in class using our iron, but you can feel free to test this out at home. You can also find links to all the supplies that I'm recommending, including interfacing and sewing machines, in the description below. Now, let's talk about something that isn't always in part of the beginner class, but I want you all to start thinking about making sure that your projects always look finished and polished. So one of the things is finishing the edges of the inside of your project so that they look very clean. If you have access to a serger, it's going to trim the edges in one step. I'm showing you here a quick demo of how a serger works. But if you don't have a serger, which most beginner seamstresses don't, your regular sewing machine can still help. Just switch to a zigzag stitch and sew close to the raw edge of the fabric. Here's how. As we're sewing, the needle goes on the fabric, then off, on the fabric, then off. We're gonna line up the edge of the fabric with the center of the presser foot and do that zigzag stitch on, off, so that it binds the edge of the fabric, thus keeping it from fraying. This is a super important technique, especially if you're using a fabric that's prone to fraying. Now you've created a strong, neat finish that keeps the fabric from fraying, and it gives you a clean look on the inside as well. All right, so you've got your piece of fabric and you're putting right sides together like that, right? When you start sewing, you're gonna have the back of this fabric lined up with the back of the foot. And we're doing that for the purposes of you learning. Once you get it, you don't always have to start here. You start wherever is best for you, okay? So you're going to line this edge up with 5/8, the back of the fabric lined up with the back of the foot. You're gonna lower the foot, and then you're going to go backwards. In normal circumstances, you should only go back about 3 or 4 stitches. You don't have to go a whole lot. All right, and then you're gonna come forward. All right, still lined up with 5/8. And your fabric may not be exactly straight, but just for this, it's okay. Normally, when you're going home and you're practicing, you should be practicing sewing at 5/8 of an inch, okay? So I backstitched like 4 or 5 stitches back. Again, that is a little excessive. You don't really need that much. If you are using a really loosely woven fabric and you're concerned about it unraveling, then I would come back over it again. But you only really need to use that if it's a really loose fabric that you're concerned about unraveling, because that's what the back stitch is for. It's to keep it from unraveling. All right, so now I've done my back stitch. So now I have this. All right, and I am going to just kind of trim off this excess because of what we're doing. Now, if I had a serger, I would need to trim because the serger is going to cut all these little extra threads off. But because I'm demonstrating for you all, I want it to be cleaner. Now, remember also when you sew, this thread should always end up underneath the foot, and you should have at least 5 to 7 inches hanging off the back, right? Now, what I'm going to do, and I'll come around to everybody's machine, but you're going to change your stitch to a zigzag stitch. Now, the machines in the class, you're just going to turn the dial to 3, and then on top, you're going to change the stitch width that has that zigzag on it to the widest one, all right? Because what you want is you want the needle to come on the fabric and off the fabric, on the fabric and off the fabric. That is really important. So here we have, hers is number 4, so we're going to change that to 4. And then I'm going to make this wider. So on the sewing machines for the class, you're going to turn that top dial in the middle. You should come around here so you can see what I'm doing since you have the same machine. And yours is somewhat similar. Yep. All right, so here I went in and I made that a 4. Okay.
What button did you do?
This one right here, and there's number 4. That's the zigzag stitch. Now, there are a couple stitches on here that you could use to make the overlock, but I like to just use the zigzag because I think that's way easier. All right, then I'm going to lower my foot and I'm going to slowly check to see if this is doing right. So what I want is I want a stitch on and a stitch off, a stitch on, a stitch off. And I'm going to keep the edge of my fabric in the center of my foot. So you guys can see this. See, it's on, off. See how it's doing that? On, off, on, off. So see how it binds the fabric? That's what you want. You want it on, off. Uh-oh. Don't pull, don't push. Just like I'm barely touching it, I'm just guiding it. And go all the way down, keeping the edge of the fabric. So this is different from sewing at 5/8 of an inch. Your guide is the center of the foot. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Yep. But this is how it's gonna look. This is like perfection right here. So that's how it should look. That's what you use in place of having a serger. So do you have to buy a serger? If you're really serious about it, then I would go ahead. But if you're kind of like, well, you know, I don't know, this is perfectly fine. You can use a zigzag stitch. And if you want to make it wider or longer, on you guys' machine, you can change the stitch length to make it longer. So for this machine, you push that top button over and this number changes. Okay, and I think on your machine, it's going to say the same thing. This top number, and you see there's a little stitch up there. So that means the stitch length. This is the stitch width, and you'll see it. It shows a little zigzag that looks like a little tornado. So it's wide at the top and it's narrow at the bottom. But this is really important. So 1, the needle, you can see it's to the left. So already you know the needle is going to be going back and forth. 2, this number is changing to correspond with the number down here. And then up here is the length. So because these are so tight, I want to open it up a little bit. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Uh-oh. So what fabrics should you choose for your tote bag? These are my suggestions: cotton canvas, denim, upholstery fabric, or twill. Stick with medium to heavyweight woven fabrics. Avoid knits, silky or slinky fabrics. Those are just going to give you a headache, I promise you. Avoid anything too thin for your first project. We'll choose fabrics in class, but feel free to raid your fabric stash or thrift something that's durable. Go to the back of that thrift store where they have curtains and pillows and things that people donated, and you can absolutely use those things for your tote bag because they're so sturdy. In class, we're doing some fun experiments with interfacing. We're going to test our zigzag stitches. So if you're at home, I encourage you to try it too. Cut a few fabric squares, apply interfacing, and test both straight and zigzag stitches on your samples. Be sure to cut the interfacing a little bit smaller than your fabric piece so that the adhesive from the interfacing doesn't end up on your iron. Next time, we'll move into laying out the pattern and cutting fabric. This is a huge milestone for the tote bag journey. If you're enjoying this series, make sure to like, comment, subscribe below. If you have questions, put those in the comments as well. I love helping beginner sewers learn how to sew. See you in the next video. Bye, guys. Now, when you need to guide it, don't guide it from the back, guide it from here. Yep. Very good. Now,